Okay, we are live. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us for this month event. And this month we have three tech talks. Let's see that real quick. So this is the meetup group, .NET Learners House Hyderabad, and this is a monthly .NET event. So now we are discussing in this month we are discussing on .NET 6 on AWS. So we'll see a little bit of Terraform, which we already introduced in the previous episode, and continuation of the DynamoDB web API gateway, Lambda, CloudWatch, along with that Kinesis. So the session will be started with Anusha's topic. She'll discuss about Kinesis, and then Jagadesh will do a deep dive into the API gateway with some of the new things which we didn't cover, like securities and rate limitings. And I didn't start on the REST API. So we'll see. Again, I'll take you through the tough part. That means we'll first deploy a updated Lambda function. The previous Lambda function was taking post. There were a few conversions. I'll show you step by step, and I'll take you to the hardest path where we will not be able to create an API gateway. We'll get hit with the roadblocks, and we'll solve one by one. So let me introduce Anusha, our first speaker. Anusha.
Yeah, hi everyone.
And Jagadish, he will be the next speaker, and I will be the last. Anusha, could you please share your screen? And
Yes.
guys, please join us live. There is a giveaway today. We have reached 1,000 plus members in less than 22 months. The meetup group. So right now we are 1,005. We started in 27 December 2020. So less than 22 months, we were able to complete around 38 events and 5 more planned. A lot of action every month. And thanks to AWS and Shafraz Rahim. Thanks to Shafraz Rahim to give those coupons. So those coupons were there since long time in my email, but we thought of to do the celebration of 1,000 members, the meetup group hitting 1,000 members. Now we are 1,005. So there is, I have 3 coupons with me. So we'll do a wheel spin, and we'll do a lucky draw for 3 members. And thanks to Rokaya for posting it. Back to you, Anusha. Could you please share your screen?
Yeah, sure. First of all, congratulations, Swamy Garu, for reaching 1,000 plus milestone.
Yeah, I mean that's like a collaborative event. Like all the, I mean, I founded this, but
Yeah,
without the organizers, co-organizers, and the members who are joining, the participants, and all the speakers, and like Ansar Hussain or Humaira Tahor. I don't know, one out of these 2 people told that thanks to the speakers who supported us in the initial phase when we were 50, 60 members, all the speakers who joined and who supported us. So thanks to everyone. This is, and since past 6 to 8 months, we 3 people are continuously doing events, and thanks to us also. Back to you, Anisha.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, let me share my screen.
Anusha, I'll be in the backstage.
Okay.
If you need anything, I'll come so that you can get extra space.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, hi guys. Today we will discuss about Amazon Kinesis. Oh, okay. Before going into the topic, let me introduce myself. This is Anusha. As you already know from previous sessions, I have been working in AIS from past 3.5 years. I'm also working along with the Swamy Garu. And for this session, we don't need any prerequisites, only simple information about AWS, understanding about what is AWS is enough. And the software or tools, because this is only the introduction, so we are using only the Amazon AWS Kinesis, so we don't need any languages. And before starting, I'm also still a learner, and please forgive me if I do any mistakes, please, because this is how we are learning together here. It is not like I know everything and I am delivering whatever I know. I may do some mistake, and if I do any mistakes, please don't mind. And these are the topics that we are going to discuss today. So first we will see what is Amazon Kinesis, and then what are the services provided by Amazon Kinesis, and these are the four services provided by Kinesis: video streams and data streams, data firehose, and finally the data analytics. We will see one by one in a real quick later. And after discussing all these things, we will see what is one use case, real time use case, how we are using these services in our real time scenario. So first of all, let me go through my presentation. So first of all, let us see what is Amazon Kinesis. So the Amazon Kinesis, it is a service. It makes it easy to collect, process, and analyze real-time streaming data. So before going into detail, let us see what is the streaming data. Actually, in real time, streaming data is like the data is getting generated continuously by hundreds of thousands of sources. Like if whatever we do online will generate data, and that data will be generated continuously by millions of people. So like if you shop anything online, or if you do any transaction, anything in any website, or if you are using any web application, and if you are a gamer, you are creating some logs, and whatever we do, that creates data, and that data is generated continuously, so it is called streaming data. So that streaming data we have to capture, because it will be generated continuously by millions of people. So we have to capture all those data, and we have to manage the data, process it, and we have to analyze the data because of the ongoing demands. So for that, Amazon Kinesis helps us in this way. So, what are the actual real-time data is like video, audio, and application logs. Where if you are using any web application, so that whatever you do, that creates logs in the applications. So those are application logs and website click streams. Like if you are going through any website, so wherever you click, and whatever the page you see, or whatever the event done by you, all those all those drivers will be recorded by the web server, and that data will be used, and that will be used by the company who is managing that website. And it creates some reports based on your interest, based on your preferences. When next time when you visit that website, it will be like presenting according to your interest, whatever is popular in those, like that kind of stuff will be presented. So it will be collected, the data will be collected and analyzed, and used for reporting purposes or monitoring, and storage purposes, whatever we want, we can do it. And this Amazon Kinesis enables you to process and analyze data as and when it arrives. So actually, you don't need to wait for the all the data to be collected and then for you start uh, processing the data and analyzing it. As and when it arrives, immediately you will be able to process using Amazon Kinesis. That is the main advantage of Amazon Kinesis. And there are basic benefits of Amazon Kinesis as we discussed right now. It is real time, like as and when the data arrives, you will be able to process it. You don't need to wait for all the data to be collected and then start processing it. And it is fully managed. So that means you don't have to worry about managing any infrastructure, or you don't have to worry about provisioning any resources or anything. You just have to capture your data and process. All the infrastructure will be handled by AWS, and it is scalable. That means you will be able to process or capture any amount of data from millions of sources. You will be able to capture the data, process it, and analyze it. These are the main basic core benefits of Amazon Kinesis. So now let us see what are services provided by Amazon Kinesis. So there are mainly four services in Amazon Kinesis. First one is Kinesis video streams. Excuse me. This Kinesis video streams makes it easy for you so that we will be able to stream our video from all the third party devices or any connected devices to AWS, and that will be used for any analytics or machine learning and other processing. So we will discuss in detail a bit later. And the data streams, and here the video streams is only for videos, and here Kinesis data streams handles all the data. Purely it concentrates on the data. So what kind of data it handles, we will see in a later. And it handles a very huge amounts of data and in a very faster manner, like we will be able to capture gigabytes of data within seconds. And that too from hundreds of thousands of sources, we will be able to capture data streams and we'll be able to process it. And the next service is Kinesis Data Firehouse. And Kinesis Data Firehouse is, it is the easiest way to capture, transform, and load data streams into AWS data stores. So it actually captures all the data streams, it transforms, and it will load wherever you want the data stores, like AWS S3 or Elasticsearches, wherever you want, it will be loaded into those applications. And Kinesis data analytics is like it is the easiest way to process data streams in real time using SQL or Java. You will be able to use SQL or Java for analyzing your data streams, and you don't need to learn any new programming language or any new framework for analyzing these data streams using Kinesis data analytics. This is the overview of all these services. Now we will discuss in detail what are these services. Okay, Amazon Kinesis video streams. As we discussed earlier, it makes it easy to securely stream video from connected devices to AWS, and we will be able to capture all those video streams, and we will be able to use those video streams for analysis or machine learning or anything. And Amazon provides all the infrastructure, and we don't have to worry about if any amount of data it can be there. We don't need to worry about the infrastructure, that will be handled by Amazon. And it provides some SDKs Amazon Video Streams provides SDKs. Using those SDKs, we will be able to securely and easily we will be able to stream videos. And also, Kinesis Video Streams, it supports HTTP live streaming. What is HTTP live streaming? So most of us would have seen already in YouTube live streaming. So that is where we will that even the YouTube company that is using the, it is applying HTTP live streaming, so that that is like it is streaming that video data in a live manner. So in the, that is the actual real time use case of HTTP live streaming. So video using Amazon Kinesis video streams, we will be able to do those kind of live streaming, or we will be able to do on demand playback videos also using video streams. And if you see here the input, so let us see in real time, it the input is from a camera. So let us say here it is a CCTV camera. So the input is coming from CCTV, that means the video is captured by CCTV and it is being fed to video streams, Kinesis video streams. These video streams, based on our requirement or based on our need, it will be fed into different applications or different tools. So if you see here, Amazon recognition video. So this is the application where it actually recognizes the objects. The object can be a tree or car or a person. It recognizes the objects based on the images or the video provided. So this kind of application we will be used in most of the case solving, most of the crucial cases in solving. So, and here if you see the Amazon SageMaker, this is the platform where we will be able to apply our machine learning applications or models. And here the TensorFlow is also a platform for complete machine learning applications or models. And if you see here the HLS is nothing but a HTTP live streaming. So these video streams will be we will be able to use those video streams to for playback videos live or on demand also. This is the basic idea of what is Amazon Kinesis video streams. Now let us move on to Amazon Kinesis data streams. What are the data stream? So actually we have already told that Amazon Kinesis data streams, we using this we will be able to capture data streams and process them, and we will be able to do any analysis or whatever we want to do using those data streams we can do. So what are those data streams? So whatever we do, as we have said earlier, whatever we do online, such as websites, whatever you do on a website, it creates some application logs. And if you are using any games, that creates some what each and every action will be logged, so it creates some log files. And also if you do any financial transactions and any social media feeds, everything will be collected as a data stream. And using these data streams, it collects a very high amount of data within seconds, within milliseconds, and it will be able to process them. And also the data will be available for you to the data streams are available for you to, if you want to do any analysis, or if you want to do any reporting, or if you want to do any monitoring, or if you want to create any application using those data streams, you will be able to do. So within milliseconds, the real-time data will be captured and processed, and it makes it available for you to do anything with the data stream. That is the main use of data stream. So if you see here, the sources are from any AWS services. From any AWS services also we will be able to get, or logs, or any website, or any games, mobile applications, anything. can be captured by this data streams as data streams. And this data streams, based on our requirement, it will feed into different applications. So using these data streams, it can trigger any AWS Lambda, or it can feed into Amazon Kinesis data analytics for any analysis. If you want to do, it is done. And if you want to store in data AWS store, so it will be fed into Amazon Kinesis Firehouse, like this, anything. And if you want to create any applications on this which runs on easy to instances, you will be able to do. So it provides a huge variety of users using data streams. And the third service provided by Amazon Kinesis is Data Firehouse. So Data Firehouse is used to load the streaming data, whatever the data received by Amazon, that the streaming data will be loaded into data stores or any analytic tools which is required based on the, again, it is based on the requirements. And it and the data stores, which what are the data stores of Amazon? So mainly it will be like Amazon S3 or Amazon Redshift, Elasticsearch services, Splunk, or anything which will be which is used based on your application, which is feasible, that in those data stores the streams will be loaded using Amazon Kinesis data warehouse. Excuse me. Since it is it that Amazon Kinesis data warehouse will be able to uh, take, or I mean, it will be able to absorb the data streams and process it, and it will be able to load into data stores, or it will be able to load the feed those data streams into any analytics tools wherever you needed. So this is the basic use of data firehouse. So because of this, data firehouse is used in many applications, in major applications, for collecting or for loading the data streams. So this is mostly used in real-time applications. So the last service in Amazon Kinesis data analytics. So using data analytics, Kinesis data analytics. So what we have told is streaming data is real time. It will be like continuously coming. So when, as and when the data comes, we are processing using data streams, and immediately we have to do some analysis on those data streams. That will be possible using data analytics. So you and for this you don't need to learn any new languages. If you are know Splunk, it is enough, or if you know Java, it is enough, and if you know Apache Flink, it is enough. So using whatever you know, using those skills only, you will be able to apply the analytic analysis on the data streams using Amazon Kinesis data analytics. That is the main use of this data analytics. It is mostly used in real-time applications where you need continuous analysis of the data streams. And if you see here, the data streams or S3 from these, the data will be coming to Amazon Kinesis data analytics. And here you use your SQL or SQL or Java Splunk here for analyzing these data streams. And based on the requirement, wherever you want to load that your analysis, you can fit into again the data streams or S3 buckets. Wherever you want, it will be fed. So these are the main services provided by Amazon Kinesis. Basically, it is like for real-time data, and if you want to do as and when if you want to do anything with the streaming data, you will be able to do using Kinesis. So now let us see a real-time scenario how it is used. These Amazon services, how they are being used in a real-time scenario. Let us see now. So this is an example, clickstream example. So here I have taken Amazon. This is a shopping application, let us say. So I have like two users. One user here, he is actually going into the home screen and he is searching from some products, and then he is going to 4K TV because he is using 4K TV application for shopping. From there he is adding whatever the products he needed to cart, and then he is going to the payment. So all this path, so from here to all these traverse of the user one will be stored by Amazon in this manner. And if he wants to come back and see what he has done, he will be able to come back in this path only. From payment he can come to cart or 4K TV, products, home. This path he will be able to traverse forward and backward, and this is because of this feature only. In many browsers we will be able to move forward or backward through the pages of any website in browsers. So, and there are some one more user. He is using a mobile application for doing some online shopping in Amazon. And if you see, he is also going first to the home page, and then he is searching in the products page, and then from there he is going to mobile. Here he is adding his products to cart and payment. If he wants to go back, he will be going back and he'll be seeing in this way these streams. He will be coming back to cart and then mobile, but he can't go to 4K TV because his stream, his path is stored in Amazon server like home, products, mobiles, cart, and premises. So only through these pages only he can traverse forward or backward. So this is the use case. So now let us see how this thing will be handled in Kinesis. So different users do different travels through websites and do and create some different kinds of clickstream data. That clickstream data will be fed into Firehouse. So this Kinesis data Firehouse, it will collects all this data and it sends this data to data analytics, Kinesis data analytics. Here it will do all the analysis whatever is needed. Like if a user is searching for one product, it will do analysis on those product and makes available the products related to those product next time when the user visits. Those kind of information or analysis will be done by Kinesis data analytics, and the data will be processed here. And again the processed data or the analyzed data will be again sent to Firehouse, so that this Firehouse loads the processed data into any data store, Amazon data store, wherever it is stored. And from here the Amazon will take the information and next time when the user comes, so the it uh, it actually provides the preferred information in the first page or home page, or like that. So the data will be used in this manner. So this is one of the examples of how we are using the Kinesis in real time scenarios. This is about Amazon Kinesis. Uh, Thank you for bearing with me all this time. Yeah, back to you, Swamy Garu.
Right. Thanks, Anusha garu. It was a good kickstart to know about what is Amazon Kinesis, and surely in next episode we will be able to start the hands-on session on that.
Sure.
So now we will. Thanks very much, and Anusha, for this session, and next, we'll invite Jagadesh to start his session. Jagadesh, could you please share your screen?
Sure, sure.
And
Thank you,
Anusha,
Anisha.
how are you feeling to do a session when we have reached 1,000 members milestone? It's a different feeling. There's no different in we doing this community service, but it's just a separate feeling that okay, now we are 1,005 members group.
It is actually encouraging to do more.
Yes. Okay,
Yes.
thanks. Back to you, Jagdish. You can share your screen and I'll hand over. We'll be on the backstage.
Okay. Uh, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Hello.
Hey, Jagdish, we are able to see your screen.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Um, Thank you so much, and it's a happy moment. Like .NET Learn has reached 1,000 plus members. Yeah, for the recent last couple of months, the number of users like added to the group was like very huge, like the fast rate. Uh, the idea of like started so like when a couple of people started this group. So the idea of this is like to gain knowledge and the share knowledge. So and we are very happy like more number of people are joining and they're encouraging and they are learning and we are learning and we are sharing what we learn. So today we'll talk about like a APM gateway. So So previous session, so we created a REST API and just we integrated API gateway. So and like a introduction to API gateway. So we integrated and we verified that and Postman simply. Now we'll go more deep into it. So what is API gateway and what are the use cases? Why we use API gateway? So how to integrate it? So how to make security and rate limiting throttling? So how to configure all those things that we will discuss in today's session. And once again, thank you, you all. So with you all only, so we're able to reach this number, and we are like as Anusha and Swamy mentioned, so that encourage us to do more and contribute and learn the things. Happy learning. So the prerequisites, so like a minimum understanding of .NET 6, the and REST API, and NoSQL because the example which we showcased the last time, so the products API is connected to the DynamoDB. So DynamoDB is more of like a NoSQL key value pair the thing, and we have hosted the application in Elastic Beanstalk, which is of a PaaS services. So we are using Visual Studio to deploy our application to run these things. So the prior knowledge. So technology stack we are using Elastic Beanstalk, DynamoDB, and API Gateway. So this is common like so we are mainly uh, learners like we have like whatever what sorry whatever we do like this AWS thing. So we are learning and we are showcasing our learning. And so if we do any mistakes, please apologize. The focus of this session is mainly on uh, the demo part, like so more on real time, like what we do rather than like a theory part. So we do a demo. So and what are the problems we face during while working with this particular services, particular technologies. We showcase those so that so when you face the similar type of issues, so you can overcome all those things. The idea of this thing. So in this session, what we are doing, like firstly we understand what is API gateway. So instead we go with Amazon API gateway, we first understand API gateway. Generally API gateways acts like a middleware. Like for example, so this user who are coming from a browser, mobiles, or whatever the device or whatever the mode, so they're accessing the application, whether it might be REST API, front-end applications, or different microservices who are accessing multiple REST APIs. Like you can see that the backend there are multiple REST APIs, which is having their own database. It's sort of like microservices. Instead, so connected to multiple REST APIs and all those things. So everybody will enter through this API gateway. Like this API gateway internally connect to a specific REST API based on so the calls they are making and all those things. That's how they are connected. So that would be easier for the backend developers to manage these REST APIs and only like integrate at the API gateway, and they can expose this APIs to the front end, so the mobile application, whatever the thing. So this makes us for the easier. So we'll go more detail. We'll tell an use case and we'll explain with the use case, and we create so required resources and that. And this is about Amazon API Gateway is a manager service, so which help we can publish, we can maintain, we can monitor our APIs, and we can secure our APIs also. So we can put authentication and all those things, and multiple things like REST, HTTP, WebSocket API at any scale. And developers can create API so to the existing their web services like AWS Lambda, Amazon Kinesis, other Amazon AWS services, and all those things. So if you can see the architectural diagram of Amazon API Gateway, then there are a number of people who are connected from web, mobile application. So the streaming dashboards, as Anusha mentioned, like there is a streaming thing. So the multiple APIs and IoT device and private application VPCs on premises all are connected to the API gateway. So internally they have this gateway cache which maintain the state of this application, and the CloudWatch like the logging and all those things, and the backend. So it is connected to multiple things like Lambda, EC2, Kinesis, DynamoDB, other things. And we can also connect to our private application data centers. All this we can configure this Amazon API gateway, and we can get this information. And now this is a critical part. Like we have to understand why we need API gateway, so that so we put at right place. Like whenever we are dealing with the business application, so we'll be a good understanding. So when we need API gateway, so why we need API gateway? Because there are many advantages we get with this API gateway. So we'll talk about a few of the simple things. So simplifying microservice complexity, because when you see the microservice architecture, there are a number of APIs which are connected to a database, and so the application might need all those APIs. Like for example, so if you take um, a products API, so so there are multiple like products, invoice information, the financial information, all those things. There are multiple APIs, different microservices were available. So instead maintaining all those things, we can connect, we can consolidate, we can do a rate limiting and token authorization. We can scale up or down. So based on the usage and all those things, and routing so to a specific thing, and we can decouple the application and provide a single interface like API gateway. Instead we remember all the end URLs of specific microservices which are exposing APIs. So we can only we need to only remember the API, the end one. So with that we can connect to the, and it allows the organization to manage endpoints centrally. Like so multiple APIs we can manage it centrally, and we can have improved security because this API gateway, something gateway. So whenever someone is going through that gate, so whenever people are entering that gateway or coming out of that gate, so we can do all the validation like at the security gate. So when people are entering, so they will do all the security measures like whether based on application, based on a usage. For example, if in an office space, they generally ask you the ID card. So whether you are an employee of that organization or something, or you were a guest, or you came for an interview, so they will treat you differently. Then they can restrict you access to only a specific place. If you're a vendor, so because of you need to make some adjustment in the office, like you are a worker, like you are managing something, so you are restricted to that specific. And there is one person who continuously monitor, so while you are doing your work. This type of, this is generally what we observe in the and when we enter the gate of the securities, how they measure the similar way. So this API gateway, so we can also do the similar thing. So whatever the things like SQL injection, DOS attacks, and malicious API application activities, by placing a proper security policies on all those things. We can also have custom security settings and all those things. We can about the rate limiting, and rate limiting is nothing but um, so the number of requests user can make to a particular API, so we can limit, so that so instead if the user is continuously making the number of requests, we unnecessarily that give the burden to the backend servers, like it consuming the power, computational power, and all those things. So we'll talk about a little bit of this thing. This is, I have an application. So my application have an admin, like who created this application. They have full access to this application. So in my product API previously, which in the last session, so it has two calls. Like one is a get, which will get the product list, and another one is post request, so which will add a new product to the list. So I'm an admin, so I can get the list of the product and post the products, and I have unlimited access. Like I can make like a number of calls to my application, because I know how many requests I can make, so what is my limitation and all those things, and I can do all the changes. And there is a vendor, like who add new products to my application, so he can get the list of application, he can post the number of products post request to my application. But based on the type of user, so I can restrict, like he can hardly make 1,000 calls per day. Like he can make only 1,000 products he can add per day. So for get request, like number of requests, he hardly can make like 100 or 10,000 of requests per day. So I can limit, I want to put a restriction limit for this specific vendor. And there is a user, so like who is using our application, and he will order the products. So he basically, he has to get the product list, so the user, so he will not have access to the post, so because he'll not be able to add any products to it. He only have get request, he can only access the data, so what are the products available, so that from the list he can choose what are the products he want to buy, purchase, and all those things. So there is a limitations. So if you see it, so my admin can access from browser, so with a specific API, and I need to have unlimited calls get and post. I'm a vendor, so where I limited calls get and post. User, so which is access from his application app, so unlimited calls get only. If you see, so this APS, all these APS are same, but I have a difficulty managing these conditions, because once I expose these API endpoints, so they will have full control of it. So I cannot limit all those things. So because how the user access, the admin is accessing like in-house application, so he doesn't need um, authentication, because in-house application automatically within the network only he can access to it. Vendor have a special permission and special user cases using, and user is only restricted to get the things. So in order to maintain all these things, I need to deploy my API and put all this restriction separately. If something changes, like for users, they if I want to put like for example like Amazon and Flipkart recent sales, for a Prime member, Flipkart Plus members, the sale starts a day before. For all the other user, sale doesn't start before. So only a specific date only. But for the Prime members, the Plus members, sale start before. So that the user will also have the restrictions like the special user, the Prime user, and the normal user. So the Prime user will access the product way before prior, and he has a special discounts. For the normal user, he doesn't have a special discounts. There would be charges, there is extra thing. So all those things, and there are more cases to be added, more restriction policies to be added, and it is difficult to for us to maintain all those things. With the API gateway, we can manage with the API gateway, so which is in middleware. So who are people adding to this, accessing the API gateway? So while restricting, we can restrict. So based on admin, he can have unlimited calls, get and post. So the vendor will have a limited calls and get post. We can write the policies inside API gateway from which call, like who are making a call. So based on that call, we can identify, we can add the policies and all those things based on the policy. So we will have this API. So the API is common, so we are not changing the API. So we are adding more features to the API, our API application. So and we can restrict this. So based on this use case, we will we will go and create a API gateway, and we integrate our API endpoint, and based on this number of this type of user, we add a restriction policies, and we will check so whether he is able to do all those things or not. So I have a sample product API, so which is basically how this two calls. uh, because of the time constraint, I already deployed that to my Elastic Beanstalk. I just want to show you that. uh, See, so I have this product API which I hosted on Elastic Beanstalk. So this is my URL, access URL. So I'm on this thing. So it has a two APIs. One is a get and another one is a post. So if you can try it out, execute it. So I have this number of products listed. I have total 3 products. So I have this post request. So where I can create a new product, try it out, and do an execute. So this new product was created 201. So this is my application. So which is having two calls as of now. So for demo purpose, I only added two calls. Now my use case is this. First, I need to add this to the API gateway. Yes, we'll go to the API gateway. So just search for API gateway. So enter there. So I'll be landing to my API gateway manager services. Uh, Check so which location you are. So here I'm doing a REST API. So I'm building REST API. Do a build. Create your first API. Okay. So I'm doing a REST API, not a WebSocket. So I don't want to use an example API because I already have an API and I have a Swagger and OpenAPI 3. So go to my Swagger, my API which is hosted, and click on this link swagger.json. So I'll have this information. Just select and copy and paste it here. So you can select as particular Swagger Swagger file, so the sample JSON. Endpoint type, so you want to be regional, edge optimize. Regional is specific for a single location, so where the other number of users who are accessing it, so it is only restricted to regional. Edge optimized, like a something like a CDN, like a faster access across the world, so multiple application accessing at a global level. So edge optimizer will give a better throughputs and all those things, accessing with a lesser latency when are accessing at the different locations, the different users. And the private is only for the in-house thing, only the in-house application as of now. So I'm restricting to the regional only. So I'm doing an import. So if you see, so it listed, so based on my schema, so the Swagger, so it listed me. So it's a product API. It has one get and one post. So it only has a schema, like for example get. So what is my thing? So get request was there. So what is the output of it, the get request? It has a thing, the data types, for example the product. So what is the my products contains like ID. So what are the variables that was there? So all this information. Now I need to configure this to an application. So from here I need to configure this first. So click on this get. So I need to select, this is my HTTP endpoint. I can use the HTTP, the proxy integration. So with this proxy integration, request will be proxies to our HTTP endpoint. So whichever the endpoint we are sharing. So that's more secure. So endpoint URL. So the endpoint URL would be I'm selecting the get. So let me select the copy this complete URL. So you need to select the product also, because I'm specifically selecting the product. Do this thing and save it. So it has saved. So it will show you the couple of things. You can test it from here only. So in the API gateway. So we can do a quick test. So I don't have any query strings and the headers. I don't need to pass anything. Just do a quick test. It gave all the information. So my list of products that were available, and you can see my status for 200. So this was success. And we'll go to we'll configure the post request. We'll do the same thing. We'll endpoint URL the same, and the save was done. So do a quick test. I'll take a sample thing. I'm doing a post request. In the request body, I'll add a sample. So if you observe, so the ID value, which is of a GUID value, so when the new product is created, it will automatically written on a code to generate a new ID and insert it. So once this is executed, you will not see this. So there is a new one will be created. We can observe. We can do a quick test. See, it was created, and if you see the GUID D514ED1 and what we mentioned at a different. So we configured our APIs with configured our endpoints. So if you want to do some changes, we can do here on the method request. So all those things, integration request, we can modify. So previously we configured like HTTP and all those things, and use a HTTP proxy integration. You want to change that to the different method, you can do all those things. Default timeout, we can configure it there. So but as of now, so get the same. Once you compose this, what we can see. So authorization captain not required, not required. Now this is done. You have API. so that that would be deployed to API. So it will ask us new state. So admin, because maybe this will I have a complete access to my application. So once this was deployed, so we can see this thing at the stages. Let it deploy. This was deployed. So you can see this admin was deployed, and you can see this URL. So prefixed with like admin. So just access it. So I'm just making an admin call. So missing authentication token, because um, we specified the product, but we specified which call you want to make. Like I need to have this product to be there. Just a second. Open it. See, I can. Oh, I have a spell mistake. Product. Product. I can get my information. So just copy that URL. Copy and go to the Postman. Duplicate tab. Admin product. I can get my product information, all those things. Okay, so my first case was solved. So I create an admin, so where he can have unlimited calls and get and post. That was done. Next, I have to create a vendor, and I have to limited calls, get and post, and I have to know so the type of vendor also, because for the vendor also I have restrictions, um, all those things. How to do that? So for the safer side, what we do is, for the admin and all those things, for the get request, for the similar, go to the resources and do configure it again. So for the integration request, um, not the integration, so method request, when somebody is calling this endpoint, API key is required, because in the request header, the user, like who are the vendor, they have to add that API key specifically for that particular vendor only. So if the new vendor was there, so we can add this thing, because this way there are multiple vendors. Some vendor is hardly adding 10 products per month. Some vendor is adding like 10,000 products per month, and some vendor is adding 1 lakh products. And I need to have a clear distribution between this vendor and the usage, like how the computation, like how the backend resources here using it. So based on that, I can put, because when he is using 1 lakh products, he is adding 1 lakh products. So I can put a limit, like per month he can make like 1 lakh 50,000 calls. When the vendor is very small, he hardly make like 10 to 20 products in a month. He add a new products in a month. So I can restrict, um, number of requests per month is 100, and I can charge him less for the higher, a bigger vendor, so who is making like 1,000, adding 1,000 products and making 1,000 calls. So based on number of limited calls and get and post, so that I can charge more from him, because his usage is more. I'll get more commission on all those things once the product is sold, because all the products images and everything was added, so that will be stored in my backend store and all those things. So for that, I need to uh, put an API key so that I can restrict, okay, this is the user, all those things. So I'll make this as a true. So for the post also, I'll make this true, and I'll save it, and we will check. So API key was required, API key is required. Next is we have to deploy it again, and we are not deploying to the previous stage. I'm deploying to the new stage. What would be the stage name? So I can say as vendor. So I have, so that I'll have a clear differences. I'm doing a deploy. Yes, you can see there is an admin and the vendor. If you observe the URLs, only the vendor part is added. The remaining part of the URL is same. So only there is an extra vendor was there. For the admin, it was an admin. Only the other thing. So, and he is having two calls, the get and post. Try to access this. Forbidden. Why this is? It he has forbidden to access it because we kept like vendor can have access and API key is required, and we are not passing the API key here. So that is the reason it was forbidden. The thing is we need to give the API key. So we have configured that this particular vendor, that particular call, we can we the user need to have an API key, but we haven't specified the API key. So we have to specify the API key. So go to the API key actions, create an API key name, my vendor one, description vendor one. I'll do a quick save so I can see the show. I can see the key. The key was generated, but we haven't added this to anybody. Just the key was generated. So for that, we need to have a usage plan. Like what are the usage plan? Because we have to restrict that particular uh, who is using that. We need to assign that to usage plan so that we will achieve this. The limited calls, gets and post usage. Here we will have a usage plans. So we'll create an usage plan. So that is a vendor one usage plan. Vendor we will categorize vendor normal vendor. So we can enable throttling. So the number of concurrent requests we are making. So number of requests per second is one. The burst mode. Burst mode is like so all these things are hitting through the API gateway. So the API gateway will tell us uh, but by how many number of requests when they have to say like the request was exhausted. So the quota how many number of requests you can make per month, like I'll say 1,000. So because he's a normal user, so the maximum products he can add in per month is 10 only. So I'll do the next. So now I'll add in a stage. So now what I need to add? Products API. So which stage? Vendor stage. So do a save. Next. So the usage was added. So now I have to add the API key. Vendor one. Done. So if you see the usage plan for this normal vendor. So product API vendor stage was added. For the API key, this vendor one API key was added. So the user has to use this API key only. We'll directly go to the vendor key one and we can copy that. Okay. Before that, I'll put this in my Postman. I'll do a duplicate vendor product in the headers. I need to mention x hyphen API hyphen key, and I need to give the API key which is there. Copy it, send. See, previously I'm not able to get the request. For example, so if I remove this, try to make a call, I forbidden. So when I do this, and I also kept the rate limiting, like per second there is only one call. So I'll do some quick, so that we can see that the limit was exhausted. So somewhere it will show. Just a second. So it's taking sometimes it will show. Yes, too many requests. So passed out, like I was quick. Okay, so you're able to see that, but it's a fraction of seconds. So that's how we can restrict it, and that is not only limited to this, we can do more. So for example, go to the usage plan. For example, I'll go usage plan. Just bear with me, like so network blip.
Okay. Yes, we're able to see you back.
Okay. Okay. The usage plans, because what I mean to say is, like we added the usage plan, we can configure it at the minute level. So we can put the restrictions at, so we come to the usage plan, so configure method throttling at the method level. For example, I selected my product, so whether I want to get, I can number of read requests per second, so I can limit it. So only for the post request, because number of users at the method level, also in the top of API level, and even I can configure it at method level also. So as of now, I'm not doing anything. So this was done. So now we have created this, sorry, this admin. So unlimited calls get and post. So for vendor, there is a limited calls get and post. We restricted to 1000 calls per month, and those only one call per second. That is the restriction we kept. For this, we added an API key and we added a usage plan. In that usage plan, we added this particular stage. Only the same URL suffixed with the vendor, and we added that usage plan the key. So whenever he is making a call, he has to do that, because the specific API key is only belongs to this specific vendor, so that the other users will not misuse it. So the plan which he purchased. So the next is we quickly go to um, my resources. So the products. So what I'll do is, this is um, I'll delete this method, because I want to deploy that to a user. So user only have this thing. Sorry, get request. There is no post request. So I'll do method request. So user will not have a API key required. False. Okay, this is done. Then again, you need to deploy API, deployment stage, the new stage, deployment description, user. Deploy it. So if you see this, user is only having one request. Try to access it, because we haven't kept any API key required for this particular call. He's able to get the uh, request. If you observe this, the endpoint. So go to my Postman, duplicate the tab, headers and all those things is not required. Send. So we can get the information. Key was not required. We configured it. So if you observe it, the API hasn't changed anything. However, we configured it. But we kept the policies, unlimited calls, based on limited calls get and post. Unlimited calls get only. So we restricted everything. So this is the advantages with the API gateway. So we can limit, we can add the policies, and we can control. Even we can control at the method level also. Although I have given limited calls get and post, I can give unlimited calls to get and limited calls to post. So at that minute level also, we can configure all those things. So we can all do this. We can code it and we can configure all those things. But with the use of API gateway, everything was in place. We just used it and we configured it. So the time we saved, the man hours and all those things, that would be easier. And anonymous, like unnecessarily, people are number of accessing the backend APIs. Like now the number of hits, like he's hitting unnecessarily like 1,000, 1 lakh of records thing. So we can restrict it, so by keeping the rate limiting and all those things. So this thing, even for the user also, we can restrict the number of calls and all those things. We can restrict, um, we can add a usage plan, we can create a usage plan, prime user, prime user, like one request. So we can enable quota, like for example 10 requests per month. So do the next, add an API stage, the product API, the user, quickly, next, done. There is no API key is required. So I have done the prime user. So we'll go to the Postman quickly. So what we did for this prime user is uh, so this so we can make rate 2 requests per second, burst 1 request, and quota 10 requests per month. So try to do this. Send, send, third, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do we updated this one? On the first day. So let me check again. I think it was not updated properly. Okay, but it will control you the number of rate requests per second based on the usage and all those things. So my quota was given for this only. So the for the user and for this prime number. Yeah. So with this API gateway, this is what we can achieve. So we can unlimited calls get and post, limited calls get and post, unlimited calls get and only. So all these things we can get with this. So and API. So the similar way we can configure all this. We can also put the authorization and all those things. Maybe that will be discussed on the next session because of the time constraint. So if you see the stages, so all these things were there. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Jagadish. That was wonderful. I think you're one session ahead of me because last time I introduced Lambda and thought of to start on the API gateway. But the Terraform, the CloudWatch logs, and the deployment of Lambda function itself took a lot of time. So I could not get into any of those things, and I can compare this when you were showing a few of those things with the Azure APM. There also we have the rate limiting by IP address by subscription key, and also the number of bytes also, which I see one of the option you are showing, the quota or something, which is pretty much similar, that we will allow 10,000 calls or we'll allow 1 GB of download or upload, whatever it is. So
Yeah, exactly. So for the Netflix or the Amazon Prime or all those things, there are a couple of subscription plans. So some only mobile HD, full HD, 4K. So we can restrict everything because the content is same, but the type of data they're streaming. So and we can get it. We can clearly differentiate all those things data, and we can charge based on it. So the product will have more advantages, and they can expose it and all those things.
okay, that's pretty cool. So I think I'm sharing my screen, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, so let's go to the final session and then we will do a wheel spin. We have $325 AWS credit. Whoever sticks to the last, let's do a wheel spin, and then we'll see who will be the lucky winner. Of names. Just keeping it open. We can do one. Whoever comes, we can send them those 3 coupons. Okay, so let me start with the session. Actually, I need to update it, the documentation, but I'll update it little later, but at least I'll show you. This is where the updated documentation should be. Okay, but let's go full hands-on on this one right now. So just give me a minute. So I want to open the previous demo. Just wanted to do a quick diff on this, and again, it's something like that. We are restarting our life with the Lambda. Just like a quick recap in 5 minutes. What all the things we had. If we see, we had the infrastructure where we deployed. So we have this locals where we are loading this and JSON decoded this file. That means the list of employees, we are putting it here. I've added one more employee. And in the main, the key thing is the for each is this local.employee rows. So that is this one, the employee rows, the JSON decoded one. And that we are putting it in for each. And we are encoding each dot value. So that's what will be the item. So there'll be 5 rows. That's one thing which we learned it. And then we'll see that how was our AWS Lambda function. So if you see that AWS Lambda function, we had 3 models. One is the employee model to retrieve the employee data. If we come here and see, explore the rows, we can, what did I got kicked out? Okay, let me go to the tables. Let's see that employee. There are 5 rows. You can see that E1 to E5. As of now, I'm taking alphanumeric. Let's see in future session, I might convert it into GOID. So we have this fifth data. So you can see that employee ID, age, designation, name, and salary. Okay, so all these things are here, which is mapping one-on-one with that. Technically, the DTO will have lesser fields than the entity, but at this point of time, we are matching it. It's like a simple scenario. And the employee request DTO, that was coming in as the input, and employee response is going out. And we have a Lambda function which used to take it. So, but that was coming in as part of the post. So we changed it. So how did we change? Let's see those changes. So I just created 2 versions and we will test both the versions. And let me set this as a startup project. Actually, technically, I should have moved this models into a separate library, which I'll do it in the next session, because copy pasting the same files 2 different times is counterproductive. So I'll move that to a separate library so that both these projects can use it. Okay, I excluded the input DTO because for get function we don't need it. So, but this is the mapping to the DynamoDB table, and this is the response DTO, whether the record was found or not. And here it's pretty simple. We are taking employee ID, and the context is coming. At this point of time, we didn't use the Lambda context. We might use it in future. But if the employee ID is either null or empty, we are saying that we didn't invalid employee ID, and we are sending it out. And if we come, it's like a bad request, technically, that we will see when we go to the API gateway. And when it comes to this content, they give the employee ID, it verifies it. If it exists, it gives. If not, it will be null. Let's see this in action, all three things. So we also saw that what is the mock lambda test tool, and where can we find the executable of the mock lambda. We saw that in the previous session. We will see that in a minute. So it's like purely the hands-on mode. Let's come in here. Wow. Okay, let's see. There are a lot of things over here. We'll come and at least check one. And I named it as this one. So we already saw that if we, because we've used the JSON serializer, if you give the input like this, it throws an error. By default, it considers it as JSON and it tries to parse it. Okay, so because it's a string, put it in double quotes. Now it comes and hits this, and let's assume this employee exists. We'll go and validate, because that's a valid employee ID we have given. So you see that the DTO has got this valid content. We are seeing it. Now if I give an invalid, when the input is available, if you see that the employee ID is not null or empty, but if you see that the record doesn't exist. So what we do is, here as part of the message, it says that success is false, record not found. And you see, as I was mentioning, it's not exactly the null design pattern, but null object pattern, similar to that. I'm calling it, for lack of better term. So now I'm sending null. This will send another response. It's the bad request. Technically, it is the bad request, invalid input. So we tested all these three on our local. So the next thing is, we need to go to our Lambda functions. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll select this and delete it. Oh, sorry. That is gone. Okay, I deployed and verified it last night. So there's nothing in here. And I was mentioning, everything depends upon your profile. See that? We don't need to go to the AWS console. We have pretty much great tools which is helping us. Maybe the Test Explorer, SQL Server Explorer, Azure Cloud Explorer, or K8s Explorer. Everyone has created the tools and embedded into the IDE. So you don't need to leave the IDE and go anywhere else. So it's like you ordered the food and some guy is getting the food to your home. So the tooling is becoming very, very powerful day in and day out. Okay. So the next thing is, we will deploy this first version. Here, what we did, the first changes, in the previous episode, we were taking the input as an POCO, the object. Now we converted that input into a primitive type, the employee ID. Okay. So now what we do is, we will go and deploy this and click on, see that it's deploying. One very, very important thing you need to observe, that is, sometimes if you deploy the previous version, so I think somewhere it is holding this. the handler one. The handler is very, very important. How does it compute the handler? Sometimes you will face that problem. So please watch this very, very carefully. So how does the runtime uh, recognizes the handler? So the assembly name and the type name and the method name. So the what is the assembly name? Okay. So the assembly name is this one, AWS Lambda dot employees CRUD. That's the assembly name. Okay. Colon colon. Okay. So the type is assembly, assembly or the namespace dot the class. So how do you know that? When you come to this one, you see namespace AWS Lambda dot employees CRUD employees Lambda. So that is your type. So you know what is assembly? Assembly is this. With this, it will create an assembly, the DLL. We'll see that in a moment. And assembly or namespace, technically both are same here. So that namespace dot the class name. Here it is employees Lambda. And what is the handler? The method name. The method name is employees handler. So yesterday when I was deploying the previous versions, the previous sessions, the handler was there, and after deploying, it was throwing a runtime error. It says that unable to find the handler. So I had to struggle. As Jagadesh mentioned, Anusha also mentioned that we are learners. Every month we take some session and we will learn and we'll share whatever is our learning. That's one side of the story. Second side of the story is we are learning something new. The third side of the story is whatever the silly mistakes which we do, we'll share with others. So that, sometimes if you or any of your colleagues, if they are facing it, you will come to know that, okay, this we saw that similar mistakes being done here. Okay. So please take that in consideration when you're deploying it. And if you have changed any of these things, either the class name or the function name, please ensure that you come and you modify this function handler. Right? So let's go and deploy this guy. I'm taking that. I might face an issue because I see I did one mistake. I know that I am wrong. I understood. I think I have this. I am wrong. I forgot to update it. Okay. So let's go and publish it. Now it recognizes. I will come and see this real quick, that there are no lambdas here except that employees AWS Lambda. That's a previous month's session. And this is an existing IAM role, which properly have the permissions provision so that it can hit the DynamoDB. So I'm doing an upload. So a couple of things I have noticed yesterday when I'm uploading this. Let it upload. You see that? It's doing a build, MS build, and it is packaging it. It is doing a zip package. See that? So did the zip, and see this, the number of DLLs which it is packing is very, very less. That's what I was feeling. That was very, very less. And you don't need to worry if you lose this. I'm sorry. You can always go back here. Now see, there was only one. Now you're seeing second one also. Okay, if you don't see that, just do a refresh and come and check this. And in the roles, one of the roles what we define should be here. This guy. That's over there. And here, if you double click or you right mouse click view function, you'll see this one. Even if you lose, you don't need to worry about it. You can always come back to that. And you want to watch the logs, you can view the logs here itself. It will start streaming. Okay, the first one, the build was failed. I think there's also the build fail event. We didn't hit it. Now let's hit that for the first time. Now I'll send it without any content, so it will not be able to convert. The next thing, we are hitting the deployed one. Guys, please understand that we are hitting AWS Lambda employees CRUD. That means we are hitting the deployed version, this guy. We are hitting this. And one thing very carefully you observe is sometimes it shows this dialog, but please watch the last update status. It doesn't show success. It shows the either pending or something. I don't remember. Last night I saw that. Every time I used to get it successful, I never focused on that piece. But when I was hitting, it says that could not find. So I just saw that what is difference. So that was one thing you need to take care. So we saw the second one, and I'm searching for an employee which is existing. So this is true. We found that record, and the employee which doesn't exist, now it will say false. And we also saw the other option where it says that received invalid employee ID. So we saw all these three things. And we can come back to this one and refresh the logs. So we will see the log streams, but our focus is not more towards the logs. So let's keep this to a minimal, and let's go ahead towards this one. The Lambda functions. Let's come to this Lambda functions. And that was, we tested it using the AWS toolkit in Visual Studio 2022. So there's another way to test it. We can come in here, click on test. And this is a test tool. I come in here, I remove everything, and I go and I test it. So it should show the runtime exception. So let's test with the empty. That means received invalid ID. And the employee ID 101. Test it. You see the details. Record found, and it shows it. And the next thing is we add this, test it again. Now this time it record not found. So we are able to test it in a couple of modes, and we can see the CloudWatch logs. So you can see some of the traces over here. Okay, and a lot of things which we can do a deep dive into this one, but not at this point of time. So the main focus is we'll keep our focus to the API gateway. So I will delete this. Oh, this is what I was doing it for Manik. I just wanted to show you, but I couldn't paste it. So let me delete this. So the first thing, as I was mentioning at the starting of the session, I'm going to take you to the hardest way possible. It will not work. We will struggle, and struggle, then it will work. So we will learn the things very, very hard way. So there are two things which I want to show. I referred one of the author's article, this Rahul Nath's article. This has helped me. And another one is AWS documentation. This documentation has helped me to fix the problem. Okay, let's see what all the problems we'll face, and then we'll come and compare this one. So first thing is, what we will do is we will start creating an API. So that is straight from this building API, REST API with the Lambda integration. We'll see that quickly as a novelic reading, and then we'll come back and we'll create it. So first we need a Lambda function. We do have a Lambda function. Next is we'll create a API. So we'll create an API, and the API name will be there. We'll write a description, as Jagadesh already mentioned. The type, we'll take it as a regional and create it. Then the next thing is we need to create a resource. Okay, create a resource. Leave the configure as proxy resource unchecked, as well as the enable API gateway cores, these two, because this is the first time we are creating. We never created the API gateway. So today is the first day. So we will touch the basics and we'll revisit again in the next month's episode. So we'll just need to give this resource name. That's it. And then we need to add the a method. That means what is the action you want to do it. Okay, either get, post, or put, or as of today we will do get by ID. That's a little bit tricky. That's what I want to focus on this. So we'll create an action, and then we'll use the use Lambda proxy, and we'll write this. I mean, it will not work. There are multiple reasons things will not work. Before that, I just wanted to show you something about the REST principle. So resource is something which we are retrieving it. You can see this. It could be the data or metadata or hyperlinks, whatever it is. So each of the URI specifically points to one resource. Like if you say employees, so it will get set of employees. Okay, get method. And you can use employees and post method to add it, or put method to modify or patch or delete. Delete doesn't go directly on employees. It will go employees / the employee ID and delete. And similarly, put and patch, you use the employee ID. So, but the get on employees, the root path, that means your intention is to retrieve all the employees. Now, employees and post, intention is you add a new employee to the list of employees. And with the parameters, the employee ID, it could be either get employee by ID, or modify employee by ID, delete employee by ID, patch employee by ID. It could be any of those things. So that's a small tip I want to give it here, because we'll be beaten black and blue now. So be ready. Let's create it. We know first thing is we need to come here, and I'm not speaking about the considerations which we will look into future, not immediately, because first we will do, then we'll come back and learn. Because in this getting started, I think it is there in getting started. There is an article that gives a nice tabular form which says that which one you should choose, why. I am unable to locate it at this point of time, but we'll definitely come back and we'll revisit this. First, we will start with this one. Okay. Did I lose mine? Anyways, I know that where it is. That shouldn't be a big deal. So let's come back over to this one. And let's observe this one. When you come to this AWS Lambda CRUD, you see there's nothing. There's no integration here. So let's go and build one integration, which I'm repeating. This will not work for next 15 minutes. We will create it. REST new API. Let me call this as employee CRUD v1 version 1. And let me use the similar description. Where's the description? That's Lambda. API gateway, it's regional. And Jagadesh was focusing on this. Okay, now you need an endpoint. So you need to create a resource. So the step-by-step instructions has been given here. You can see this one. They have given a pretty good documentation step-by-step. You're in the step 2, create an API. Now you need to create a resource. Let's come back to this one. Take the root, select the root and click on resource. Now it says that do not touch this. You can see an extra things, proxy resource, all sub resources, but we'll discuss on that little later. So I'm saying employees, and I'll create this employee. Select that there are no methods inside this. So we go and create a method. Now I want to do get employee by ID. Here, have this. I need to come to this Lambda function. And I copy that. There's a Lambda integration saying that use Lambda. The default, if you want to give some custom timeout, you can give it. And then give the name. Because I have this in West US, I select it and click on save. It gives a permission. So I saved it. So we can see a lot of those things which are over here. Let's see step by step. So in this method, it gives me an opportunity to do a query string. I don't want to do a query string. I want to do employee/employee ID. So the next thing is method response. No, I want to do something here. So which I'm seeing, it's like a roadblock. No problem. So let's first delete this method. Okay. So let's come back to the documentation. And inside this documentation, if you go, a tutorial calc API with 3 integrations. So this guy is showing all the 3 types of integration. So this is what we need. Employees/employee ID. I don't want to pass it as a query string. I want to pass it as part of the URI. It should be the route parameter. I don't want to use the query string. I mean, the query string is useful, or it makes sense if you're doing get employees and you say that employees designation, filter by designation, or order by, you're doing an ascending and descending, or you're saying that age between these employees or employee belonging to a particular department. So it makes sense when you're doing sorting, filtering, or paging. It makes sense to send those things as the query string. But I mean, it is no harm sending the employee ID as the query string. Technically, that is also filtering. But technically, rest of the places where we generally see that the employee ID, get employee by ID, will be the route parameter. So that's what we are doing here. So that with path parameters, you directly come in here. So you see that you have employees. So at the starting, I spoke about this one. So employees, when you do get, means get all employees. Employees, you do post, means add an employee. Now, if you have employee ID, under employee ID, if it is get, means get employee by ID. Post, put means modify employee by ID. Delete employee by ID. So this is how it should be. So you have a resource and you can have methods under that. So that means these methods will act on that particular route. That means all employees. You add a new employee to all employees, or you get all employees. Now you need a specific employee. That should be a resource under resource. That means employee/employee ID. Now you see, if you add a method get, that means you're saying that get employee by ID. So that is acting on the particular path parameter, on the particular employee ID. Either you do a modify, put, patch, or delete, or get, that acts on that particular employee. Oh, whatever we are doing, it's not going to work. For next 20 minutes, this is not going to work. I'm going to take you to the hardest path. I love that. Okay. So the resource name, I'm calling it as employee ID. Okay. So see this. Now you see this. This is employees. So I can do get or post here, and I'm doing employees/employee ID. So any method which I add is specifically for that route. That means employee/employee ID. Okay. Now I'm adding a method under this. I'm saying get. Okay. Now that's use the proxy integration, and that's over here. I'm adding this. Now to test it, employee ID is E101. And I test it, it fails. Okay, we are getting 502 internal errors. And please focus on the input, what it is going in from here. So if you slowly come through this, you will see the content, whatever it is going in from here. So the first thing it says that JSON serializer exception, error converting the Lambda event JSON payload to the string type. That means this one we have seen it. The parameter what this expects is a string. That means for some reason that employee ID is not getting into this, because by default some other JSON is coming in. That's the step one of this. So we understand something else is happening. So coming back to this article. So this article, integrate API gateway to Lambda function. So in this, if you go and see that, there are two things which we are seeing: API gateway proxy request and API gateway proxy response. So now let me close this. Now let's go to the step 2. Now we need to upgrade our Lambda function. So first thing what we have to do is we need to add the Amazon Lambda API Gateway events. Okay, let's go to this NuGet. Right? In this NuGet package, we can go to this. Here you can see this one. It's focusing on two different classes. One is the API Gateway Proxy Request, and another one is API Gateway HTTP API v2 Proxy Request. So see that. When should you use what? So see, this one, API Gateway Proxy Request, represents a proxy request coming from REST API, HTTP API, payload format 1.1, or WebSocket API. And this one, V2 you should use, represents a proxy request coming from HTTP API payload format 2. So if it is exclusively HTTP API payload format 2, you need to use that. So our guy is API Gateway Proxy Request 1. Cool. Now we understood that. So let me come back. And the next thing is, here we used to have string. Now we will have the API Gateway Proxy Request, and the response should be API Gateway Proxy Response. And now, if I go into this one, here itself, let's go into this request. In this sample function, this guy didn't give that. NuGet Package Explorer. Will not spend much time. If not, I'll check that here itself in the Visual Studio 2022. Let it open, or in the meanwhile, let's check here itself. Let me select this, right mouse click, and go to the definition. Okay, so you're getting that proxy request context. You got the path. This field is only set for the REST API. And another important thing is the resource path. Is the resource which has been defined, and the HTTP method, what method it is. And very important thing for us at this point of time is the path parameters. Authentication. This one. This field is only set in this one. So the path parameters that were part of the request. So this is like a route. So here it is a little different. It shows it as the dictionary. So key value pair. Okay. So let's see that. Now we understood that. Did it open? Wow. I can go into this. And we have this, but I think we have seen it there. So let's not spend any time. So we had this clue here, and we understood, because we are using REST API, we need to use this. And we came here and we understood that we need the path parameters. So let me close everything and come back. And I'm coming in here. Now I understood that it should be the path parameters, because we said that employee ID. Where did we define that? In the API gateway, we defined the path as employee ID. It's not working. Until we deploy this, it will not work. So it should come. Now, if I want to test this, how will I test? Let's go. Either we can come back to the CloudWatch logs here in this logs. We can come back and we can search for the logs to see what is that input which it receives, and we can take, copy, customize, and modify that. Okay, see this. So somewhere it failed to do the conversion. So we can get into this to see what is that it happened and go deep into the weeds to find out what did it send. Maybe I didn't switch on the serialization to true, but let's see that. We can switch this Lambda net serializer debug to true. I don't know. I never used it, but I read it in an article and do it. But there's another shorter way to do it. Now, it's not accepting because it is expecting an API gateway proxy request. So the easiest thing is example request, API gateway proxy request. Now let's put the debugger over here in this line 27 and then hit it. So we'll go step by step. We'll take 2 minutes, but these fundamentals are very interesting. Now, when you expand this path parameters, there is one path parameter. And what is the path parameter name is proxy. And this, the value is path to resource. So somewhere there is proxy and somewhere this is there. So now it will fail, because what happens is when you do a try, it's null. So now we will say it's bad request. We'll return that. It says that bad request, right? 400 bad request, it didn't find. So we understood that somewhere it is saying proxy. Where is that? There are multiple places it says proxy, but the path parameters, it clearly says proxy. Now, employee ID. Now we changed it. Now we do check employee ID, but the value is coming as path to resource. Now this is record not found scenario. That is 404. So previously 400, now it is 404. So now I understood, okay, 50% of the world piece. Now we'll come back and we'll say that employee 101. Now execute a function. Now it properly gave employee 101. Now we execute it, come back here. Now you see that it has found. So we tried all 3 different versions. We don't know what path parameters is. We sent something, but we found that something with the name proxy, they're passing it. So replace that with employee ID. But the value was not correct. So that we fixed it, E101. So we did 400, 404, and 200. So this is how the input is. Now we understood. Okay, that's cool. Now what we have to do is we have to redeploy this. I'm not going to touch, or we can redeploy to the same one. But just to be on a safer side, let's do the version 1, not to touch the previous one. Let's be very, very careful in seeing that. Okay, it is giving version 1. Let me come back to this. Where is the Lambda function? Not that one. I'm putting it here. I'm calling it as V1. And That also I need to change v1 to match employees crud v1 because it will not find that. This is let me check that. Did I do any mistake? No. We selected the proper IAM role. At this point of time, we are not using any of these things. We did that. Now I'm saying upload. Now this also we have seen it does .NET publish. And one thing I am still amazed to see, the number of libraries are so very less. It's publishing. We might get a chance to see that it publishes, but still the Lambda function will not be ready. It's zipping the folder, entire content of that bin. See that number of DLLs? Oh God, I thought that we will see this. Okay. Now I do invoke. It says that object not found. Now I just saved this input from yesterday's this thing. Why? Oh, record not found. That's true. 200. I just kept it here. It's there in my repository. You guys can go grab it. It's as simple as that. Now I understood that. The path parameters, it's a dictionary string of string. Now we know that. So it's 75% of the world piece. Drum rolls and tears of joy, both at the same time. We have this. Now let's go back to the API gateway. And let me come in here and copy this guy. Come back to the API gateway. Now select this and delete it. As simple as that. Now, actions, create a method. For that route, I said get and proxy integration, and the function name is this. Click on save, give the permission. Okay, so let's do a test. E1011 and go and test. So 404, it's expected and you're getting it properly. And E101, we test it. It's 200, it's Srivaru. And 105, test it, that's Muhammad Ali. And 104 is Kiran Kumar. Jagadesh, I'm trying to find your employee ID. I'm unable to do that. There you go. You're 103. Cool. So that was the hardest route we were going through to hook up the REST API. Now the key thing what we understood is how do you send the path parameters? So it's a resource. The URI should identify a particular resource. So the URI route is like /employees /employee ID. So from the set of employees, get me a particular employee whose ID is this. And within this, now we can do a put or delete. Now we can add another method inside this, but that acts on this. And again, if I can go here and I can create a method, and if I add get, that means it should get all employees. It shouldn't wait for any parameter. Okay. So Manik, I'm seeing your comment, and that is part of the Lambda, where when you're going here, when you're trying to publish, or here itself you can see in the Lambda defaults the timeout. It is from 3 to sorry, it's 900 seconds, I assume, if I'm not wrong. Let me check that. Let's go to the next one. So you need to do a worker processing, like in this one, 1 to 900 seconds, Manik. So anything more than 900 seconds, you either do a worker processing kind of thing, which does it and drop a message in a queue so that something else can pick up. So these are the serverless one, isn't it? So you're not in the previous example where Jagadesh has taken a EC2. So you're blocking a fixed set of hardware or a compute resource. Here, we are not blocking a fixed set of compute resource, but we are getting charged by the usage time. So you need to ensure that it's getting done within that. Imagine a scenario like the trigger for this is message. So now, if you have 10 messages are getting dropped, now the cloud provider is taking to scale up. I don't know whether they're scaling up 10 or 20 or this one, but it will scale up to multiple instances and it will process all the messages and then scale it down automatically. So the expansion and contraction is happening automatically by the cloud provider. So you need to ensure that within the fixed set of time, you see the same rules apply for Azure functions in Azure. So there also it's 5 minutes is the limit. So here 900 seconds. Okay. That being said, we need to see the one final thing when we come back to the Lambda function. Here you can see that the trigger is API gateway. When you select this trigger, you'll see that. So if there is something issue, then you will not find this one. So the resource path is this, and the method authorization, I didn't take it. As I told Jagadish, is ahead of the game, is running one session ahead of me, so I might go a little slow. But next month, I want to add two things. I want to show the get all employees and add an employee. I'm not sure whether put and how does those routes will impact, and will introduce simple queue service and notification service. We'll see to introduce some other new these things. How many people are still online? Can you guys type your name so that we can do a wheel spin? I see Manik is there, and I'm sure Ramesh, you're there. Can someone type their names so that we can do the wheel spin? At least I know Manik is there. I can add him to the wheel spin. Name. And who else? Ramesh, are you there? Oh, I don't know. Okay. Let's see. Manik, are you there? Okay, you're still in. Okay. I think, Manik, you you'll get one coupon of $25 because there are no other people I'm seeing they're pinging here. I'm looking at this one. This is my Twitter ID. You can send me your email. Did you register in the event, Manik? But you can send me a DM direct message to my Twitter ID. I will send you the coupon code, $25 credit of AWS. And thanks to Shafras Rahim for providing those coupons. Thanks. He's a program manager from AWS Community Builder. So I have still two more coupons. Anyone else who's online? I see only Manik. So Manik, ping me, do a direct message in my Twitter. I'll give you my email ID. You can give your email ID. I'll send you the $25 voucher of AWS credits. You can use it. So we'll give one more minute and then we can close this bridge. Yeah. Unfortunately, Jagadesh, Anusha, and I, we can't use the coupon. This coupon is for the guests. And I think we will give those two coupons in next month session. What do you say, Jagdish?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, let's give it in the next month. Because this was a good occasion where within 22 months we reached 1,005 members. We started very slow, and as of today we are 1,005, and we thought of to do this as a celebration, but giving one voucher is also celebration. So we celebrate for 2 months.
yeah, the celebration is more on so the knowledge we are sharing
True.
rather than
Right. And the knowledge which we are learning to do these sessions. So that's true. Thanks, Manik, for being an active participant. And let's do more action in the next month episode. And there are a couple of other sessions which we piled it up. One is the microservice series which is going on. We completed 10 sessions, 40 more sessions to go. It will be a 2.5 years efforts. It's not going to complete anytime sooner. So session 11 and 12 is planned, and November 23 is Microsoft Ignite after party, local version of Hyderabad, and we are getting speakers, external speakers, and other things. Totally 7 more sessions planned. So hope to see you guys more frequently in our events. Any final words, Jagdish, from your side? Hey,
Uh,
Ramesh, you also send me your email ID on the same Twitter, Vishipailur. So the second coupon, I'll send it to you. If anyone else is there still online, they can ping. They will get the third voucher. I have 3 vouchers with me. Okay, Ramesh?
Yeah. So while giving demo, so for the user prime user, I only kept for the 10 calls and all those things. So that didn't work. Now I'm able to figure it out. So we need to add the key also, key and assign to that user. So when we are calling using that key and user falls under that usage plan, will be automatically like stop like making more than the specified calls per month or per day. You can specify it. So after I added the key, so then it restricted the to make another call. So
Cool. Ramesh, you can also send me your email ID. So Manik and Ramesh, just give me a couple of days. We'll take rest of the weekend, and then we'll come back Monday. So anytime we are back online, we will send you that voucher and the URL where you can redeem it. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you guys.
Go ahead, Jagdish. You're speaking. Any final words on that?
No, that's it. Like, so I was overwhelmed. So there's too many things. Like we reached 1,000+ members. So
Yeah. From
and
the okay, that's a good question, Manik.
so satisfaction.
So, yeah, right, Manik. Because it's just your thirst towards technology. The thing is that it took a lot of time because I have gray hairs. I'm an old guy, uh, and every time I used to go to a new project, I was expecting that I have to write code, and I used to go to my manager and ask, "Hey, you're saying that I'm a technical lead, associate architect, and you're not giving me anything to code." He will say that you manage the team, you manage the project. I said, "No, I want to write the code." And I was fighting for writing the code all along, switching the projects, doing all gimmicks, but never ever I got chance to write the code. Then one fine day I understood that why am I expecting that I should write the code in the project? So I do whatever my superiors ask me to do, manage the team or do a performance testing or do analysis or a project proposal, whatever it is. So that's where the focus has shifted. So whatever the work which is coming as part of the project, we do it. But don't expect that I want to do this. So your
Yeah,
passion, you want to learn AWS. So suppose the customer or our project is in Azure. Jagadish, Anusha, and I, we can't go and tell them that, hey, give us a work in Lambda, AWS Lambda. They'll say that you guys are nuts. This is an Azure environment. So that's where we shifted our focus. Like anything we want to learn, let's do these sessions. We will learn offline. So one good thing is Anusha, Jagadish, and I, we are from the same team. So
yeah, exactly. Like Swamy inspired us. Uh, he said like one thing. So don't blame someone. So when you don't get like a new work, new learning, so on your project, because it completely depends on so what project or what the client wants. So instead, so you learn what you want. So because so like when I see look back like couple of months back, so for the AWS I have a zero knowledge, nothing. So from long back I thought of like learning AWS or trying it something. So because I'm like for the past 5 6 years I'm working on completely on Azure, so thought of trying other cloud provider. So it's not driving me like to learn these things. When Swamy inspired me, so started doing it, I started learning it, try to do trial and error, some issues, silly mistakes, after a couple of hours, like I was able to fix the issues and do a learning. So now I can say that I know. So that AWS, uh, I'm not expert, but I know so how the AWS works. So what are the terms I can relate that to Azure and all those things. So I can deploy my .NET application. So what are the components which I require? So if I get a chance, like a similar kind of thing, so on this thing. So I special thanks to Swamy, which I always call him a Guruji.
Oh, I learned it from my superiors, Jagdish, because Manik, one of my previous manager, he says that you don't need to compete with others. You have to compete with yourself. That means you have to do a retrospective on yourself. No one is going to hold your hand and say that do this and do that. You are the boss. So Manik, you have to do a retrospective. Like in the month of October, October 1st and October 31st, what is that you have learned? So just look back for the previous 30 days. So are you able to do anything new or are you able to do the same thing? And if you're able to do the same thing, that's not a crime. There is something else which is very important. You're taking care of that. But put yourself 10 to 6. Your work will be 10 to 6. Sometimes it will be hectic. There are days when we also work for, at this age, with these many gray hairs, we work straight 18 and a half hours. Straight 18 and a half hours. Nikhil Grover and I, we had to give some deliverable in Angular 10. We started on 10 a.m. Wednesday and we stopped at 4:30 a.m. on Thursday morning. 18 and a half hours straight without sleep. And then we slept. We gave the deliverable, and the people from on site, they were shouting at us, this is go, sleep. I said that we will give the deliverable and we'll go. So we did that. So it's not that everyone should sacrifice your personal life, but everybody has got their own goals. So you want to learn something, keep a training plan for yourself. Write down your goals and paste it here. I have my goals right here on the table. So every time I sit on this is my home office. Every time I sit here, I see these goals here. So that hits me. You see this in Hollow Man. The scientist, he writes it there that you shouldn't sleep on the wall. So even if he's trying to sleep, he'll see that and again he'll try, he'll do the work. So keep the goals for yourself. Like what motivates you. So work will be always there. Tensions, stretch goals, always be there. You'll have a personal life. Sometimes we take 1 month or 2 months off. We don't do any events. Spend time with the family. And then we'll come back, we'll learn. Like on and off. But there should be a progress every month or every quarterly. It's not that don't keep monthly retrospective and burn yourself to death, but keep a goal for every 2 months or 3 months. See that what did you learn. You want to, if your goal is to become technical in Python or Java or something, put yourself in a training plan. You write your own training plan and speak with other fellow developers and do some community surveys. Like Jagadesh knows that. I'll show you my case itself. If you see that I did not have the code, whatever I was demonstrating you today, whatever I demonstrated, I didn't have the code till previous 12 hours. What is the time now? It is 12:30 p.m. So last night, midnight, 12 a.m., that's where I was able to complete the code. I didn't have the code. Around 11:30 p.m. or 12 a.m. Around that time, I was able to complete it. I tested it, then I slept it. You can see that I checked in the test file. When is that I checked in? That's the last, input JSON. I tested this and then I slept it. So when did I check in? I check in at 12 hours ago, exactly in 12 a.m. So Almost 12 hours ago, I checked in. So that's where this one. Now I understood, Manik. So the motivation is today morning, 10 o'clock, I need to give the demo. Midnight, 12 a.m., I checked in the code. That motivates us. Okay, I have to do a demo. I don't have the code. I need to complete it. Do it. Anything to add, Jagdish, from your side?
Yeah, sharing makes you to learn things more precisely, because you're not you are learning and you are sharing, because whatever you learned, if you are not able to explain to the others, so then you haven't learned it, you haven't understood it. So when you are saying to someone, so you will learn more precisely, so the amount of the knowledge you will get, so is more, so compared to like self learning and limited to that only.
I mean,
So that's
throughout
what
the
I have
world,
learned.
yeah. So there is one thing, Manik. This is a generic term I'm telling. See, every day you're in project. That means what happens is you know the ins and outs of the project. There are days when someone says that things are not working. Jagdish and I, we will say that, hey, did you check the configuration in app service, or did you check, have you put this configuration? So you will come to that state, isn't it? Day in and day out you're working in the same project. You know that if someone is not getting, if he's getting an error, is it because of the configuration change, or is it the port is blocked, or is it doing something wrong? At least on a hunch you will be able to do that. Assume that you're working on a project. How can you do your work faster? Like if every day it is taking 10 hours, then identify the patterns where you can reduce the time from 10 hours to 7 hours or 8 hours. At least you'll gain 2 hours. So the time you gain it, what are you going to do? You want to reinvest in learning. So that's what Jagdish and I do. So sometimes off business hours, we'll speak to each other around 9 o'clock or 10 p.m. after completing the work, project work. From there, we'll go all the way till midnight. And then once we complete, we'll go and sleep. And if you see the other series, which I was speaking about, that series we are doing, we three people are doing, Johnny, Robbie, and Swamy. And I'll show you a quick sneak peek of that. So this is the one. So Johnny is from Wales, United Kingdom, Robbie from US, and Swamy from India. So weekly we'll sync up, and Robbie and I, we do pair programming. Sometimes the pair programming goes all the way Saturdays or Sundays. We'll do pair programming. It will be late in the evening for me, and it will be early morning, 7 o'clock. He comes up with a 1 or 2 big cup of coffee, and he'll sit with me. We both will do pair programming. Sometimes it goes till 5 hours on Saturdays. It is 4:30 or 5 o'clock. It is early morning, 7 o'clock to Robbie. And it goes all the way for 5 hours, sometimes 5 hours. So we don't stop. Sometimes we do it in half an hour and we'll say that, okay, this weekend we'll do less. But definitely we do. Cool. Manik and Ramesh, please ping me your email ID on my Twitter, and catch you guys in the next month episode. I think Ramesh, you pinged me. Cool. Who's that? Manik, you also ping me. Thank you so much. Jagdish, your daughter?
Yes.
Okay, my son, unfortunately, he has got a school today. He's out. If not, he would definitely appear on the screen and he would have waved all these things. Thanks, Manik. And thank you all for joining us on this month's episode. And please,
Thank you all for supporting us too.
Yeah, that's really good thing. And please do subscribe for our YouTube channel. More and more videos we will be but at least once you subscribe, you will get notified even if you watch. But having joining this session will be more benefit. Like Manik, you were asking some queries, we were able to answer. Sometimes what happens is we'll not be able to answer because we don't know many things. We know only few things, as Jagdish told, limited knowledge. But that gives us an opportunity for Jagdish, Anusha, and me to go back to school and find out, hey, what is which Manik asked or Ramesh asked, and find out answers for our for the questions others ask. So let's gather and request people to join in more number, so we'll get benefit. And you can give the suggestion, like you want to see some sessions on Angular, on some sessions or gRPC or Web API or something else. We'll see if we have the skill set. We will do. If not, we will go speak with other community leaders and bring them to share their knowledge. Okay, I think it is 2.5 hours. We don't want to bore people more. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your support. Bye, Jagdish.
Yeah, bye. Nick.